I'm Steve. I am the host. Welcome to another installment of MSP webinars. Today's going to be kind of interesting. It's not quite a vendor presentation because I didn't invite the vendor. So there's that. But it's not really a roundtable because we're not tackling. We're not tackling like issues per se, right? What we're actually going to do today is we're going to set up ConnectWise Sell together. And that might sound a little crazy to you, but we're going to see how it goes. So let me get my my screen ready here, and I'm going to share my screen. So you'll notice I've made you a panelist. If you're here, you're a panelist. That means you have the ability to turn on your microphone and join the conversation. And the goal with that is, we're going to work together, right? So I am as new to ConnectWise Sell as you are, right? So we're literally figuring this thing out together. Here's where I hope I know my own password. And I don't. All right, so let me pause my share because I'm not going to just give you my password. That'd be silly. All right, so I am here. I'm logged into ConnectWise Sell, and I did start doing a few things. So you'll notice that I started setting up like my profile, and you'll see they've got this nice little pop-up. They're letting us know about some webinars ConnectWise is going to do in May. This particular one will be utilizing Eatalize for product sourcing. Now, if that's complete Greek to you, that's okay. Eatalize is a third-party service that they, ConnectWise, have integrated into ConnectWise Sell. What Eatalize does is it takes information from Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synex, D&H, and a slew of other sources, and it makes sure that you have real-time availability at whichever warehouses they have. It'll make sure you've got images and all sorts of other stuff in it, right? So, wow, that is really confusing, the chat. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. So if we go into dashboard, that's literally where we were just at. If we are in my profile, you'll see that this is my profile. So this is my headshot, if you will, the picture of me. This is the image that I use for my likeness on pretty much everything. This here is, if you see if I hover, it gives you the ability to upload a signature, and the signature is going to help your quote just look a little more professional, just being honest. There's some other settings where you can set up how people can reach you, what they see on quotes, etc. And then as you go through here, you'll find that there are things for document branding. So I did start setting this stuff up. So under branding, I don't know what any of this is going to look like yet, but I set up the order porter basic branding already with the colors that I want to use for my IT company. Email, I haven't done really anything with this other than here's your quote. WinTab, nothing. I didn't change any of that. It's literally one little checkbox, so didn't need to. Advanced, I believe I turned on the rep signature. Otherwise, I just kind of left everything where it was. And then I didn't upload any metadata. The next thing you'll see is the order porter templates. And I honestly didn't have the slightest idea of what to do with this. Other than you have the ability to, I don't know, set up, it says sell accordion 2018. So if we go to a new template group and just create a new group, I mean, it literally, this is all it does. I don't get it. So I just kind of moved on. Has anyone here used Sell, or does anyone use
it for years? Steve, I've used it quite a bit, and actually, order porter templates is when you send out a quote to an end user. It's basically the PDF that is generated for that end user after they look at the detail on the quote inside of order porter, and then it also generates a PDF from there. And so they do have a PDF editor or an order porter editor. That's kind of a funky thing that is kind of a pain in the butt. But you can get consulting from ConnectWise to create customized order porter templates, which help you create that type of an environment.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, now, I would recommend, as far as starting out, to go with the ConnectWise Marketplace to get templates that are already put in place. There's a whole marketplace with free content that you can then gain templates that others are using. And then obviously, if it's the right color scheme, depending on the order porter template you get, you could probably implement your own logo into it since it fits. Getting into more customization, it's hard to find a third-party vendor that actually does it well. There's a few out there. It would be a really good resource for us MSPs. ConnectWise tends to be the only ones for customization, if you would.
Gotcha. And what's so here's where it gets interesting. I'm on Sell Basic or whatever they're calling it, because I'll be damned if I'm going to spend, $1,000 up front and a couple hundred a month. It's, I just want to make some quotes. So I went with the basic. It's like 60 or 70 bucks a month, something like that. There was a 1 month onboarding fee, and that was that. Now I know basic is also really limited, so I'm curious to see how long I'm able to use this before I feel like I've already outgrown it. The contract is for 12 months. It is not a month to month. It is a 12-month agreement. I did commit to use this. We'll see.
So you would typically not get much into the root of any of this once it's set up once.
Right.
Typically, I mean, unless you want to get into the mass customization of things, basic will typically give you a lot of the main functionality that you're looking to achieve. I think basic will be sufficient, to be honest. I think the important part is more to get your so you can actually see what you're looking for is some of the templates that are already out there to start working with.
Well, that'll probably, I hope that'll be in here somewhere.
Should be under community resources, right there.
I was there. They've got university
content vault, and then find quoting packages. Or content vault, either will work. But those are the packages that are bundled together, and that would probably be the ideal one. That MSP 2018. That's the most common one most people are using, and that'll bring in all of the templates associated with it. Then over here, install, and then you actually
have
it is. Yeah,
that's easy enough.
And then ideally, going into any of the other things you were working on isn't really important unless you get into customization. I would almost say at this point, you almost want to create a test quote off of one of these, if you would, to see what type of daily functions you're going to have in them. Gotcha.
Okay, so basically what I'm hearing is stop screwing with this. And go in and start
learn. No. You're good to learn. I mean, you're new to it. You should know what all of those are. I mean, that's part of the tinker, if you would. So I'm just meaning that the true functionality isn't necessarily in this. It's more of a set and forget it. The true functionality in Sell and all of the value in it is its capabilities of templatizing things and kind of and being able to kind of have templatized quotes that all you have to do is define quantities to save time, if you would.
Yeah, and also I would add one other thing in that when you actually start generating quotes and playing with the tab settings themselves will give you more power than a lot of these settings that are over on the left-hand side.
Correct.
Gotcha. So I will say though that we're setting up ConnectWise Sell still. So like we literally have to set it up at least a little bit before we can do much.
Yeah,
so,
I understood. Sorry.
And I do want to I don't want to spend much time in the settings area. I want to get in and start building a quote, but I do want to at least make sure we have some of the basics here. So the output grid, I can tell this is literally what do we want to see on these quotes, like whether it's on the PDF or the order porter. CRM integration, if you're using ConnectWise Autotask or Light Services, whatever that is, then it can integrate with that. I'm not going to be doing that, not right now anyway, so not worried about it. We already saw the community resources. There is the university here, so if you are interested in hopping on the university and doing actual training, they do have like a whole set of training for ConnectWise Sell. In fact, they give you, I want to say it's a 60 or a 90-day out of your contract. If you're like, you know what, I'm going to take my ball and go home, you've got time to do that. But you have to go through and do like everything in the university in order for that to even happen. They basically need to say, look, if you don't actually understand the product, how do you know it's not for you? And I get it. So if you're going to sign up, make sure you're actually going to go through that university and make sure this is for you. All right, now quote setup. Here's basically some settings that you can make. Sheesh, it is windy out there. Here are some settings you can make. These should be specific to how you want your quotes to look and display. So honestly, I'm going to go into item management here, and you'll see that I made some internal items, just a few for us to play around with, specific to website stuff, because that's my main purpose for these quotes right now. However, when you see how I'm using it, it'll apply to managed services, okay? So edit quote templates. I don't think we need to screw with that right now. Recurring revenues. This one I got stuck on. So I know that I need some of my items to be able to be billed like monthly, quarterly, annually, etc., right? But I wasn't sure how to set this up. Like, okay, yearly, is the duration of yearly 365? Is the duration of monthly 30? Is the duration the number of days or the number of months that the contract is for? So I was a little confused on that. Does anyone here have an answer on that? Okay, we're going to wing it. So I'm going to try 30, and we'll call this monthly 30. And if we're wrong, we'll figure it out real quick. Content integrations, as you see here, it's got the ability to do real-time pricing for all of these different sources, right? And then under Utilize options, you have the ability to and search for things not only based on the product, like the manufacturer part number, but you can also search for things based on the part number that you would get from your distributor. So that way you can just pull in that specific part. We won't worry about workflow, electronic orders, or reporting right now. Any questions so far on the settings area of this? Okay. So far, so good. I see that Sebastian is interested in the biggest benefits of QuoteWorks versus Sell. For me, the biggest benefit, the reason I went with Sell instead of QuoteWorks is I'm a Mac user, as you can probably tell by the top left corner here. And I need something that's usable 100% from a browser. I don't want to set up a virtual machine. I don't want to have to, do RDP into some cloud computer system for me to be able to do it. I just want to operate out of a browser. So QuoteWorks, while it would have been as powerful, if not more powerful in some ways, it didn't check off that box for me to be able to operate from a browser.
So, sounds good. I think it's like 960 something.
Let me, I went ahead and muted Steve. I don't know if he meant to do that. So now we're going to come in here and we're going to look at quotes. You'll see that I started screwing around, and this is about the part where I was like, whoa, this could potentially help everybody. So what I'm going to do is instead of opening this and looking at what I've already started, we're going to start a new quote. So you'll see we've got these different template groups here, and let's just do this one here. So I'm assuming I'm going to pick this little plus here next to MSP input template, and this is going to create our new quote. Now, it wants me to search for a customer. I don't have any customers. I didn't integrate any customer things. Does it let me just add one up here at this little? Nope. No customers match. So I don't want to search. Let me just add a customer. This is stupid. I already hate it, guys. All right, so let's go back into settings. What if I do none? We're back to wanting a customer.
Perhaps start from the dashboard. Is there a plus customer there somewhere? Maybe that, no. Wow.
Let's open up ConnectWise Chat. Okay. Well, we'll open up these here. How to add a customer. I don't want to hear you. Just let me see you. I just want to clarify. Nobody here is able to clarify on this for me and keep us moving forward.
No, Steve, unfortunately, mine's tied into my ConnectWise, so it pulls directly from there.
I was going to say the same thing.
So look, this here, it looks like there's two buttons that might even be missing. I'm going to turn off my Brave Shield. And I'm going to hit new quote. Yeah, it's just straight up missing. I think there's supposed to be a button right here.
Yeah, on my screen it says opportunity.
So I just took a screenshot, which puts the screenshot into my, which put the screenshot into my clipboard. And now I'm going to just paste that into here. Go incognito. Okay, sure. Let's go incognito.
I just linked a doc to how to create a customer from ConnectWise University.
How am I logged in while incognito? Incognito is not very incognito.
Steve, you can probably reply to him and he might be able to give you some answers on that.
Oh.
I'm trying out a Safari window. Because incognito didn't help.
Interesting thing there. It turn something on.
Yeah, look down in the bottom, Steve. He's told you, in your setup, you have to turn on a setting in there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sharing the incognito window or the Safari window, but yes, I have tried incognito. If you don't have a CRM, you'll need to have settings, quote preparation, quote setup. Okay. Settings, quote preparation, quote setup. Allow account creation.
Creation right there, yeah.
Any other creations? All right. I bet that just magically fixed everything. Look at that. Create customer. All right, let's do, just going to create myself as a customer. Oh, I don't want to do any of those things. Or we'll add that. And save. All right. After copying from a template, the quote name must be changed. Okay, so let's call this website template. And having an expiration date, what does that look like? 4 weeks out, 6/6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So that's fine with me. Post status. I don't think I need to worry about that for right now. Default tab term recurring type monthly. Default tab term periods 12. Okay. I think most of, yeah, I was going to say, I think most of you would probably recommend 36, but.
If you can get them to sign, sure.
Oh, we'll get them to sign, sir.
Shorter terms are easier signs.
All right, so, and then template group, I'll just call this group just in case, because why not? Save. All right, so now we'll prepare content. Ooh, look at all this. So, instructions, okay. So because we're using the MSP template, it's literally got like everything here.
Yep.
And we just kind of pop in here and we start editing. This is fantastic. So cover letter, executive summary. This is good because it looks like this here about our company. So even though this is the product description, my assumption is about our company is going to be like a headline where everything underneath that is going to be just, general text. Under the customer profile here, they have include quantity master. Okay, so if we were going to do this based on basically the number of users, servers, and firewalls times X number of X price, then that's where we would do that. Hardware, that's easy. So if we want to sell them a whole bunch of $3,000 laptops, holy cow. Intel Core 2 Duo, $3,000. I would really love the markup on that. I don't know about you guys. Some optional hardware here. Oh, look at that white Microsoft wheel mouse. You can tell they've really updated these templates for us. Managed services breakdown, and then they've got their good, better, best. So there's the silver, there's the gold, and it looks like they don't have any of the pricing in here. Okay, so this tab is a duplicate of bronze with the is optional box checked. Okay, additional recurring services. Man, it just keeps going and going. And then the
idea with this template is obviously from this, you've got the mass amount of information. You just delete the tab if it's not fitting with that particular template, but using this as a base to create your template.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just add a new tab because I want to try starting this almost from scratch. So I'm going to add. I'm going to attach one. It's called services here. I don't have this template. How was it added? So Wayne, I don't know if you noticed earlier, but here, I'll open this up in a new tab. Under settings, community resources, content vault, find quoting packages. I just installed the MSP 2018 package. So you click on this, and then it'll ask you just check all the boxes and you hit install selected, and you're done. You've now got this quote and all of the stuff that goes along with that quote.
That's easy.
Right? So if I hit this little plus, it doesn't do anything. So what I want to add is one of my own internal parts. But it doesn't, so it's not letting me like bring up the parts that I've already added into Quozal.
Did you go through the search function back on that tab?
Didn't.
Prepare right there. Hit this search button up top, all the way up top, right here. Yep, above it. Yep. And there, what would you have given?
Okay, so that's not at all ambiguous.
It is. Right, so you typically wouldn't have to do that. You typically wouldn't have to do that if you know what the name is. Okay, so there's a short tail. So if you remembered small WordPress site, you should be able to type that into that section, hit the plus sign, and it should query and find that part.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to mute, guys. I've got.
No problem. So I'm gonna add all three of these to this prepare content section here. And the reason for that is because I want to. So I'm going to check this and more. Okay, 0. More. Remove 0 quantity items. Okay. So now I've got a tab here that has my web design stuff. And if I come here, oh, you know what I just did? Oh, okay. So guys, I don't know if you just watched what I did, but I clicked more because I'm just assuming that this is related to the page I'm on. And then I clicked remove 0 quantity items, but that would have removed 0 quantity items from every single tab here. So that is something that we all need to be careful with. If you want to remove 0 quantity items, you look, there's this little drop down here as part of your tab, and you can remove 0 quantity items specifically from this tab. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm pretty happy with this tab. It's got my 3 things. I may need to go through and edit some descriptions and add some thumbnails later. But for now, I'm happy because at least the 3 products that I have on this quote are here. And I guess before I get too far, I want to make sure that you guys understand, here's my thought process. Here's what I want to accomplish with this quote. I want to be able to say, here's your price to build the website that you want. So I basically have like 3 products here, and if I click on edit, yeah, you'll see it's got all of this, basic information here. And I'll basically delete the 2 that I don't need, right? And then the next thing I want to do is I want to say, who's going to host this website, me or you? So my assumption is, now I'm going to come here to monthly services. I'm going to attach that. And let's select that tab. And now I know this weird looking floppy disk with a magnifying glass is a search. So now I'll attach self-hosted and hosting. So now I've got these things here, and let's see here. Now I need to figure out how to make it so that way these 2 items are like a radio button. But if I recall correctly, is optional. Duplicate tab is radio option. So I'm going to duplicate the tab. So what we're going to call this is hosted. And I'll rename this to self-hosted. And then on the self-hosted, I can, because I don't know how else to do it, change this to 0 and remove 0 quantity items. I don't see a way to, like, if I check a box, I don't see a way to, like, nope. I don't see a delete line anywhere. If I just click delete, nope. All right, so I'll change that to a 0 and remove that 0 quantity item. Now, if I was smart, I would have changed this so that way it didn't say monthly services. It would say something else like hosting or something. But I wasn't smart, so oops. I'm going to make another monthly services one here because the next thing I want to do is have them tell me, are they going to have me manage the website and perform the monthly maintenance? Because with WordPress websites, I don't know if you guys know this, you basically need to do some almost daily management on them, similar to how you manage your client computers. So, there's a tool I use. It makes sure everything's up to date. It checks the security, uptime, etc. Right? So, so let's call this WordPress management. And I'll add these two items. And if I'm moving too fast or if you have questions, just let me know. All right, so there. And now I'm going to duplicate this tab as a radio option. And see, look, because I called it WordPress management before I duplicated it, now instead of it saying monthly services, I got this little green stripe, WordPress management. So now I can change the decline, zero quantity. Change the maintenance, zero quantity. And then I'll rename this to declined. And then finally, I need to add a bunch of optional services. And I don't think I've actually created these yet in my system here. If I click is optional, I assume that does it. So I'll come here, I'll hit search. Yeah, I don't have any of them, but what I'll do is I'll attach each of these and maybe a couple more things, because why not? Okay. So that's kind of like the basics of what I want my quote to look like. So I'm going to keep the cover letter, the summary. I'll get rid of the customer profile. I'll get rid of the hardware. It doesn't let me. No, it will. I think I just tried to do it too quickly. I don't need this. And I'm probably, in your eyes, I'm probably doing this backwards by not using like anything that they provided. But this is just how I wanted to do it. So there. I would put this notes and exceptions at the tail end of this. So I don't know if you guys saw, I grabbed, you see where it's got these two arrows? I grabbed here and I just moved it. So there we go. So we'll see that I've got some recurring stuff, a total. I'll be honest, it's all up here is really confusing just because I don't see the actual quote yet. Like I don't know what this looks like yet. So now you'll see that there's a few different order porter things. So yeah, I'll hit publish and I want to view this. That's not what I wanted. This is not a valid quote. That's annoying. I guess I'll send myself an email. Is there not a way to just preview this thing without sending it to yourself? Let me look again. So attachments, that's cool. Videos, documents. Save changes. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not seeing a way to preview this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pause my screen share, open up my email, find the email I just got. Okay, so here we go. Here is the, that's not at all what, let's try this again. Here is your quote. View your quote. There we go.
Right. Right.
Okay, so here's what the quote looks like to the person. But I don't see a way to like
Right.
change anything. That's frustrating. All right, so self-hosted subtotal. Services subtotal, self-hosted subtotal, hosted subtotal. So update options. No, it doesn't actually let me change the options. So now my assumption is there is something in a setting somewhere. Electronic ordering, I think, is not what I'm assuming it is. Sell theme, first month, disable document preview, disable customer search, users. All right, I'm stuck again. Let's see here. Order porter setup. Let's try this again. So basic branding. I don't see. In fact, my order porter isn't even using, from what I can tell, any of this, which is fine. I mean, I don't care. Matthew, I agree. It must be something on the quote that I've done wrong, but I want to double check my settings and make sure I really don't see anything. Order porter template. Output grid editor. Yeah, none of that. Quote setup. Edit publish settings. show tab checkboxes radio buttons. Show line item details. Matthew, what would I do without you? All right, so now if I hit Save Changes, Publish. Now, can I just refresh this? Because that'd be really frustrating if I have to send myself an email every time. But it looks like I have to send myself an email every time. Okay. Here's my new one. Copy link. So here's what the first one looked like. I checked a couple boxes in the quote settings. Here's, ooh, this is much better. Here's what the new one looks like. So WordPress management. Oh, okay. That's not at all helpful. So it looks like I just need to fill some of these things out better. And then it would be nice if people could add additional quantities or change the quantities on a couple of these items, but I'll figure that out soon enough. Now, the part that's a little concerning for me is, first, how do I force which one is checked to begin with? And then next, I'm sorry, not checked, but ticked here, the radio option. Next would be, why can't there be some separation here? Like, it's just frustrating. It lets me uncheck the main service. Well, that's just ridiculous. All right, so if I go back into my prepare content and I check out edit tab. So now I'm just editing the settings for this one particular tab. It's not optional. Recurring is one time. I guess that's fine. I don't know what protected means, but I'm going to try it.
Has the thought ever crossed your mind to go through Sell training?
Yeah. We're playing with Sell under the assumption, Quentin, that most people do not go through the Sell training, right? So what we're doing is I'm letting you guys see how ridiculously stupid the software is, to where you literally need to go through the training. And what we talked about earlier was it's like they give you a 60-day out. You can say, within the first couple of months, I'm just going to take my goal and go home. But ConnectWise has it in the 60-day out, in the guarantee, whatever they call it, that unless you have, gone through the Sell training and done a couple of other things, that you don't qualify to terminate your contract. And I think that's genius of them, because what they're basically saying is, how do you know this isn't for you if you haven't actually figured out how to use it?
Precisely.
So it's genius.
Well, it makes sense. You can say any product sucks if you refuse to learn how to use it.
Absolutely.
I can say, I could tell the car dealership they're stupid for selling me a manual transmission, and that's the worst invention of the world. Do you know how to drive one? No, I don't. Or do you want to learn one? No, I don't. Why invest in a product you're not willing to learn? That gives you an unfair feedback.
No, and I just want to clarify, I'm not trying to give Sell unfair feedback right now, but my purpose of this is I want to make sure that people understand, like, when you open this thing up, like, it is overwhelming, it's confusing, things aren't where you would expect them to be, right? Like, I have been stumbling through this. I'm 51 minutes in, and I've got a quote, but it's not one I would want to deliver, right? So
Yeah.
all of these issues I'm running into could absolutely easily be solved by going through the university. I even hit help because I was confused at one point. I hit help. I went into a chat because I even when I typed in my problem, it gave you some suggestions of what to look at. Those suggestions didn't help. So I asked someone in chat. They gave me a quick answer, and then it was back to the races. But it is a very confusing product. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and definitely it's I'll be upfront as obviously I'm really a huge ConnectWise fan. It's not a product you're going to dive into day one and just start hammering out quotes. But I will tell you that if you invest the time into learning it, we've got it down to where there's a customer info tab. That's the only tab you fill out, depending on the quote type, number of users, number of computers. You fill that out, and boom, the entire quote's automated and ready to go.
And I remember that tab. I deleted it a little bit ago.
Because we have one that's like managed only, and then managed plus full has. So going into the assumption that we're replacing everything anyways. And then the only thing we need to know is how many users do they have? How many servers are we going to be putting in, or VMs, things like that. And boom, it automatically updates all the other tabs.
And I don't see any problem with that. Here, let me reset search. So you don't even find the customer that I added? Come on, guys.
Do you have it linked to ConnectWise as your CRM?
I do not, but I think I remember what the problem is. Nope, that's not the problem. So I created a customer for that one quote. This quote, I think. You see it's got an account and a contact. And now my thought is I want to use that same customer and make a new quote. But it's a customer that exists in Sell. So yeah. And that's the frustrating thing. It's like little things like this. I'm sure there is a perfectly reasonable explanation why this search isn't working. But until I go through the university, I don't know what it is.
So you created a company locally in Sell?
I did.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like, because who wants to do that, right?
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a blast. So maybe it's because that doesn't actually save the customer as a customer in Sell. Maybe you have to do that for every single time you make a quote. I don't know. We'll make this default tab term periods 36 again. Save. MSP quote. And now we can go into prepare content. And like you said earlier, when you go to the customer profile tab and all you have to do is change some numbers here, it makes it really easy. I imagine that based on this, users, servers, firewalls, whatever things you want to offer service for, the customer gets to choose if they want bronze, silver, or gold when you send them the quote. Although you might not have good, better, best, you might just have a single offering and deal with it. Yes or no, right?
Yeah. We only do a single offering, but I've seen people and I've helped people that, and then in the past, the whole kind of one tier managed service model approach is fairly recent, within the last, 2 years, I would say, or so, maybe 3. People who were on the cusp of it were doing it 3.5 years ago, and really diving into it, switching to the per user. We did do that in the past at previous MSPs. And that's basically what it was. You pre-formatted your bronze, silver, and gold. And then what you actually are using is item groups. And that's how it's linking those quantities on your customer breakdown tab to the actual products. So it will still dynamically update each tab. Each tab just has different products in it. You may include AV, you may not, So you say I have 10 desktops. Well, bronze tab is not going to use 10 in your desktop quantity to update the AV because your bronze tab may not have AV,
Gotcha.
So you can still get just as much automation.
And I would have never thought to use automation on a quote. And I want to clarify, there's nothing wrong with creating a quote template where all you got to do is change a couple line items and update it to have the correct information for your customer. But I would have never thought to have the type of automation that Sell is capable of, to where you literally have a customer profile tab, you fill in some numbers, and you're done. That's cool. Sebastian, are you still in here? Sebastian's one of the guys that his microphone doesn't even work. So I would say that the automation portion of Sell is what would make this thing definitely leaps and bounds better than a tool like QuoteWorks. So we're coming up to the end of the hour here. I know that this was probably overwhelming because we all, or many of us, I should say, are looking at ConnectWise Sell for the first time. But as I said to Quentin, my goal was for us to look at this product and figure out how far can we get, in this hour here in setting it up and building a quote. And obviously we were able to stumble along through the way. You're able to see what this thing looks like and its capabilities. You're able to just, touch the surface of that. And honestly, if you have ConnectWise or Autotask, this thing's going to be way more powerful than just using Sell on its own, because then you've got the ability to create the opportunities and the quotes and then win the opportunities, and everything can happen through Sell. And then it's automatically making things happen in your PSA for you. So any questions or anything on any of this stuff? Matthew says QuoteWorks can do that automation, but QuoteWorks can't run in a browser.
Yes, it can.
Got you there. Well, not natively though. Yeah, you can install QuoteWorks on a PC somewhere and then access it through a browser.
Yeah, I mean that's all Quozel is.
Yeah, but I don't have to worry about it because they've made it accessible through the browser to where I don't have to install software.
Yeah.
Matt says QuoteWorks Web exists. I asked someone about it, and I tried to get signed up for it, and they sent me the installer to get started. So
yeah, it's an add-on. QuoteWorks Web is an add-on. It's not a native product.
Yeah, and why on earth would I want to install the product when I literally just want the quote tool to be in my browser? And I'll be honest, I would have probably signed up for Quoter instead of ConnectWise Sell. Yeah, here it is. I would have signed up for Quoter, except they're high based on their pricing. They took the IT glue approach, and if you're familiar with Quoter, you'll understand why. They're backed by venture capital firm, I believe, that is run by the guy that created IT Glue and then sold it. So, I mean, this thing starts at, you're gonna do this monthly, right? You're not gonna pay for your tool that's $100 a month annually for the most part, right? You're gonna do a monthly thing. So $130 a month. And I'll be honest, I did a demo. It's not as capable as ConnectWise Sell, even the basic license of ConnectWise Sell. And so I'm saving, I'm cutting my price in approximately half, and I have a better product with ConnectWise Sell. Now, is Quoter prettier and probably more intuitive? Yeah, but ConnectWise is more powerful, and that's what I wanted. I couldn't even do the very basic thing that I wanted to do. My requirement beyond it being a web interface, my requirement for my quote tool was that I need to be able to have the product, 2 different sets of radio options, and then some checkboxes. And ConnectWise Sell was the only one that could meet that for me. So, well, again, and the web interface. QuoteWorks could have done all of that if I was wanting to run a PC. So unless anyone has any questions, I think now is a fantastic time to wrap this thing up. Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, guys. I do hope you all have yourselves a great week. I'll see you next week at the next webinar. Take care, everybody.